Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights. And as always, I want to thank you for joining us today. And we have Izaic Yorks. Hello, Isaac.
Hey, how's it going? It's great to be here.
We're doing fine as always. And it's a beautiful day here in Washington, where I am. And you are not in Washington.
No, not anymore. I'm out in sunny North Carolina now, about the Raleigh-Durham area.
Okay. But you have been here because I happen to know you went to UW and were one of our runners.
Yes, yes. And if you follow track and field up at UW, they are absolutely killing it. I think they've won so many championships recently with their individuals. But yep, I hail from there, went to school up there. So
And okay, but now you're a writer as well as having a family and things,
mhm,
but a writer.
mhm.
And you write in a somewhat unique genre of Christian fantasy. And a lot of people go, isn't there a real schism between Christianity and fantasy? How does that work?
Oh, it is an interesting area to be in because on one hand, I think when you're in the Christian fantasy space, there's a lot of people who see that label and they automatically don't want to read it because it's Christian. But I think that there are many ways to do it well. But first, let's get into what is the importance of fantasy? Like God made us to have an imagination and to share stories. We are storytellers at our core, and it's one of those things where sometimes there is greater truth in a thing that doesn't exist than what is there, right? And so ultimately, any kind of medium of storytelling, it could be historical fiction, it could be closed door romance. Those they can be for better or they can be for worse. It's
Hey,
really what is your intent? What are you
that's
pointing
true.
to?
That's true. Jesus
So,
himself spoke in parables. Those are stories.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so that's kind of at the guiding forefront of my mind. And so I really fall into the school of if you had to take what I think are the pillars, if you look at Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, and neither's wrong, but I wasn't a Christian growing up and I fell in love with the way Tolkien told stories. So having a world that has the underpinnings of faith that demonstrates the elements of virtue and allows the characters to also wander away from that. Um, I found that that pulled me into wanting to be more like the virtuous characters, wanting to live that
Sure.
faith.
Sure. What
So,
makes a hero a hero? It's not just from going out and stomping some monster to death. I can see it, absolutely. And in my own writing, I try to make that what you call those broader terms of doing something and keeping it on the up and up. I mean,
yeah.
something anyone can read.
Yeah, exactly. And, just because that something has the term Christian fantasy, that doesn't mean that you can't not use you know, swearing or you can't have scenes of violence or explore some of the darker things in life, right? Uh, when you look at reality and if you have that underpinning of that Christian faith, you're eventually faced with the problem of evil. Why, if God can do all these things, why does he allow it? Well, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people think this too, is for reasons unbeknownst to us to God, there's without some amount of darkness, that light doesn't shine as bright as it can be. And then there's of course the element of um having autonomy, not just being a puppet on a table. And so like letting the characters go and explore and walk down a good path, a bad path, make the changes. Bringing it back to your original question about how do you make that work, Christian fantasy, how the two coalesce? It's really pointing to that which is good, true, and beautiful ultimately. Um, and for me, it's letting the characters do that organically and authentically, and I think that tells some of the best stories.
It does. There is evil and error and wrong out there. The Bible has it in it, but taking that aside, we still do our best every day to be who we are and help and grow. And, that was makes it good neighbors. It makes all those things. You don't have to be a Christian to be on the good side of life and the world and in general. So
Hmm.
I can see them blending together. Now you've got several books out there. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so they're on their face, they're very different. So I'll tell you a little bit about Ascendant first, and I'll give you more of like the quick clickbaity version, right? So Ascendant is it's your high fantasy, and for those who don't know the difference between epic fantasy and high fantasy, I know we're getting into the weeds here, but high fantasy is when you're focusing on, you know, usually a single viewpoint and following them through the world. And there might be these epic stakes, there might not, but you're focusing solely on one character in these extraordinary circumstances. And so Ascendant is that it follows a girl, and it's kind of if you know Brandon Sanderson, it's a bit of his if Mistborn were to meet Orwell's 1984. So you have this dystopian rebel coming of age story where a girl has this magic power waking around her, and she has to go on a quest to eventually stop the bad guy. Athos is a different series, and it is a four part, and it's in the tradition of Robert Jordan. It's more in the tradition of Tolkien, in that it's an epic fantasy. It has six viewpoints and it has this long arc of a story, right? And they are set in a connected universe, but the stories don't cross over. The universe that I write in is connected, which is where this connects into that kind of Christian fantasy is everything I write, each series focuses on a different virtue. So for the Saga of Valor series, which Ascendant is the main book, Walk Tall is the companion novella, it's focusing on valor, but valor is really the stand-in because valor is a bit of a lesser virtue when the series is actually really working towards the idea of fortitude. And so that is having courage beyond just battle, but an interior life of courage um, that allows you to bear extraordinary things. Uh, while Athos in the Dragon's Fall cycle, that is focused on mercy. And so that's kind of how the worlds are connected there. And the thing that ties them together is the source of magic, which is in some of those worlds it's a hard magic source, so it has these defined rules. In others, it's a bit softer, a bit like, the ring from Lord of the Rings, where it has these rules, but it can kind of do a little bit of anything, it feels like. Um, but all of those sources are the same. They are the wellspring from which miracles come from. And in this case, in these worlds, it's the stand-in for God.
I like it. And I like the fact that you know your books. You're an author that can talk the language that you're writing and you can pass that on. I like that. Sometimes it's very hard to talk about it, explain. Oh, I don't know, I wrote it. It just came that way. But to have that understanding and ability to explain it, that's very cool. Very good.
Mhm.
Now, these are kind of tome-sized writings. They're not small works. It reminds me of Tim Fasciola's Scales of Balance. And he's been on our show before, and he'll be back in a few weeks too. Um, he's
Mm.
got big stories.
I mean, I'm gonna have to check that out. I like something that can be both a weapon, a doorstop, and something I can read me to sleep.
Yeah, I've got one of those dictionaries just like that thick, an old one, hardback. Yeah, I do. Yeah, maybe not quite that big, but. And
Mhm.
then you've got another book. Actually, I really like it. Does a Snowflake Make a Sound? Now, this is a short story. It's a Christmas story, and it's a great book to have, like to read to the kids and things
Mhm.
on Christmas. So, and with ghosts at Christmas, how does that one work?
Right. So, first off, I love how you said that because that's exactly how I pitch it when I go to events or I'm at, say, a Comic-Con or something like that. Dude, there's an old Victorian tradition, and some people, I think everyone knows about it, even though they don't know they know about it. But it used to be, right? We didn't have a radio, we didn't have TV back in the Victorian era, so
Hmm.
there came about this tradition. Where the family would gather around the fire, and on Christmas Eve they would read a story that could be read in about an hour to 2 hours, and that'd be the entertainment. And I actually don't know the history. I should look up the history, but it would be ghost stories. So, A Christmas Carol
Yep,
That's kind of
absolutely. I
central.
was just
Yes.
going to bring that up. Hey, talk about ghosts. Yeah, on Christmas. There you
Hmm.
go. And
Yeah.
that's a winner.
Hmm. I decided to go way left field and do absurdist fantasy with it. So it follows this little goblin named Danger Plickett, and he's a cheeky little lad. He's probably like, I don't know, as far as goblins go, maybe three. Um, Goblins mature faster. I don't know. I think this would be a great little TV show, and it's all about him saving one of the other characters, a Scimitar, who has a little bit of a drinking problem, and helping him come back to the Christmas spirit and life in general. So yeah.
It's fun, and that keeps things light and happy and wonderful. And in our Christmas box, I've got a whole stack of Christmas books in there that pull out. I've read over the years a zillion times.
Hmm.
And now it's grandkids and soon great grandkids. That kind of thing.
Well,
It's
and so I was just working on a blog for someone else because they had reached out to me and they were asking about diversity. And one of the things that I was thinking about was like, well, we want diversity of thoughts, and I think that's really the bar that we're aiming for with that. And one of the ways we get there is by instilling a love for reading, right? And so
you're
in our
here.
in our youth. And so what better way than to be able to have traditions where, okay, we're going to turn off the TV. We're not going to turn on the radio. We're going to read together as a family. And I think that's what you were just saying about having a box that you bring out for your grandkids. Like, it's a
Yeah.
great way to do that.
My kids, I remember them reading their books and they had it memorized and they were just kind of saying each page that, they weren't reading it, they had it memorized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, it does instill a love of reading and books instead of being afraid of books and that
Hmm.
element.
Hmm.
So now you've got these series. Are there continuations of them? Are there new things? What are you doing next?
Yeah. So it's pretty busy here. So for the Saga of Valor, that's a duology. So there will be a second book for Ascendant. So what's really cool about that book is it reads as a standalone in that everything that happens, the story wraps up. You can read it and you can be completely done. Maybe that's a good book marketing move. Maybe that's a bad book marketing move. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is it makes it very approachable. But I do leave um, some of the things that the main character Ava deals with are open in that she still has to kind of come to terms with some of the trauma, and so that's what the second book is. So that's going to come out in 2 years. Athos is part of a four-part series, and that is second book is in test reading. I have a pretty long test reading phase where I do 3 phases of test reading and then arc readers and editors as well. Um, and so that second book's done. Third book is almost ready for test reading, and I'm starting the fourth. But yeah, and then this fall I have 3 different stories coming out. And so all kind of a little bit on the lighter side novellas or more 70,000, which is 70,000 word books, which are about
It's kind of
200-ish
in
page.
between a novella and yeah, it's
Yeah.
romance or something that could be the whole book, and sci-fi it's a little small, and but it
Hmm.
fits where it fits because that's what you've got scheduled. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And the reason for that is, like I said, with such a long, a the main books that I write are pretty long. You're getting
Hmm.
up to 200,000 words, and I am pretty insistent on doing 3 test reading phases of 5 to 10 people in each pool, and that takes a while to get their feedback. And so I realized I'm not going to be able to get the second book out. In addition, I always thought that I would do traditional publishing. And when I got into starting to query my first book around, it was during COVID. So nothing was open. No agents were taking anyone. And I had a good friend who started a business via Kickstarter. And he's like, hey, the real reason you want an agent you want to go through traditional publishing is you want a gatekeeper so you don't put something bad out there.
True, that's a
And
good part of it.
so he recommended Kickstarter, put it directly to the audience, and ever since then, I fell in love with that, having my books previews go directly to the audience and letting them vote with their wallet. And so I still got to run the Kickstarter for that too. So
I haven't done
That
it.
put
I may
that
have to
out.
get together with you and figure that one out.
Oh, anytime. I'd love chat. I think I'm not a master, but I got it down pretty good, I think.
You're good. And I tell you what, when your new books come out, do let me know and we'll get you back on and get you a bump to this audience out there and get them on to where all your books are going to be, or DermanPublishing.com's bookstore. So we'll have them there.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to send you some early copies too. So,
All right. Yeah, I do a lot of reviews and things too. So,
okay.
and they're not all perfect, by the way, just so people know. No, I keep it honest
Mhm.
because if an author doesn't know, how are they going to know?
Yes.
If I find something in there that changes, some, I like to get a hold of them actually ahead of time and say, oh, this is what I saw, this is what I found, or hey, great job. And
Hmm.
I'm not afraid of saying that too.
Yeah. And I think that's the right way to do it with, my background as a professional athlete for 6 years. And that's a job where you either succeed or you fail in front of thousands and thousands of people, and you
Yeah, it's
learn to
true.
scaffold, right? Everything you quickly learn, and it's the same. So authors have to be ready for this, right? Is it's about scaffolding. It's about learning to take constructive criticism for what it is and to figure out how to put
Here,
that in a
here.
process and grow.
It's not
Mm,
always easy when you get something back and it's not right and you
mm-hmm,
got to
mm-hmm.
change it. It's hard. Yeah,
Yep.
well,
Humility.
yeah, but it's not like falling on your face in a race.
That's a different kind of pain.
That's a
Both aren't
different
great.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I want to thank you for being with us, Isaac.
Yep. Thank you, Strider. This has been a true joy.
Hey, great. And for the rest of you out there, thanks for joining us today. And again, until next time, I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, sponsored by DermanPublishing.com.